Going on, everybody? James Corbett. I am alone today. Rocco is not feeling well, so he is taking the week off, which is totally fine. Rocco dedicates about 10 hours a month to doing this with us, which we cannot thank him enough at Project Refit for being one of the, OGs, if you will, in terms of being an original volunteer. Um, he's really been just spectacular, and we cannot thank him enough. So tons of love out to Rocco. Also, relaunching this entire podcast was his idea. He really wanted to drive this thing forward, and he promised he would show up to most of these to support it. And boy, has he done that. So we again, this is all volunteer ran, or mostly volunteer ran. So it's really special when we have people who show up and do. And if you ever want to get involved with Project Refit, we're looking for you. Please reach out to us, contact us if you want to volunteer for us in any way. Ways that you can volunteer with us, by the way. We're looking for people who can set up tables at events, people who want to do fundraising events for us, community events for us. Really trying to get the schedule full of events and really engaging with the community even more. That's a huge way. We are in the process. I'm inundated with trying to launch out a new mobile base down in Delaware and everything, and so we are just really motivated to keep this thing rocking and rolling and growing. And with Rocco not being here, we do have a guest that is joining us today, and I'm really excited to have her on. She's actually one of our leaders for female retreats, for the all ladies retreats, the Sisters in Arms, and her name is Regina. I'm going to bring her on right now. Let's check her out. What's going on,
Hello.
Regina?
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. It's really good to have you on today and to talk and to get your story and your motivations for wanting to be a part of this and wanting to do this and kind of your background as well and where you came from and listen. We didn't get a chance to talk necessarily yet, but I'm gonna lay it to you right here. The name of the
Mhm.
episode, the name of the entire podcast is FML. Usually means fuck my
Okay.
life, but in this case, it means for my life. So what we're
I
trying to
love
get
it.
to, that's right, a little reframe. So what we're trying to get to is I want you to try to get as deep as you possibly can with us today in terms
Mhm.
of where you really made a life change, where you really you took full advantage of your life. You wanted to take full ownership of your life and you wanted to really move
Mhm.
yourself forward and you were no longer in that headspace of the FML, but in the positive way that you're for your life. So I'd love for you to,
Love it.
drive that home for us today and
Mhm.
take us back to the beginning if you want to start when you're a wee little child and then growing and growing. Oh man, I just got a little Irish there. That was a little uncomfortable, but
There we go.
I got my Tree of Life cup right here, so I'm allowed. I'm allowed. And the red hair,
I love it. And the
obviously.
red, I guess that's the
That's right. That's
qualification.
right.
Yes.
That's right. Hey,
Absolutely.
I was just there and I felt like I was home, dude. Like 32% of the population is redheads. So I
Ooh,
was like, yo, I got people here to look like me. It was pretty cool.
that's
But
hilarious.
yeah, take us through it. Take
Yeah.
us wherever you want to start and I'll talk you through it.
Absolutely. So, I guess I will start with just a big life was not always as simple and easy, right? I think a lot of people kind of start off like that, but
Yep, yep.
for me, it was always in an area like where I grew up. I just kind of paint the picture. You had it was an apartment, it was a co-op space, right? And then you had, oh God, you have like fences that blocked off different parts of the neighborhood. And you're talking about apartments, it wasn't like a housing division. And
Right,
then
right, right.
you had constant sirens, you have constant, people running through. It was a very chaotic type of area. But I would tell you this, my friends and the people that I grew up there were so talented. It felt as
Mm,
if um, we just didn't have the opportunity to shine and be bright because we were always worried about our surroundings. That
mm,
being said, and fasting forward, I never thought that I would go to college and make the dean's list, or go to college and join a sorority, or go to college and become a national honors collegiate scholar. But I did, and I didn't think it was possible. But I think at that point, my mom had a higher vision for me
Mhm.
from, yeah, we're here in this apartment neighborhood, but she was like, no, you're going to go to school and you're going to take it seriously, right? You're going to do this, you're going to do that. Now, me not knowing what that really is, because I don't have an example of it, I just kind of walked in it and made the best of it. And I met a really cool friend in that process, and her name was DeAndrea. And she
Okay.
said, my mom and my dad are in the military, and I'm thinking about going in the military. And I said, okay, like, here's all new territory. My mom is sending me off to college.
Yep, yep.
I guess I can join the army. Nobody I know is in the army either. And so to me, that was a moment of change, right?
Mm.
For the good.
Yep,
Now,
yep, it's a
fast
big
forward,
change.
this is a huge change.
That's right. Need to do it though, right? It's really
And
important.
I did, and I wouldn't regret it. I wouldn't change it a bit. I would say every experience that I had thereafter, tough but rewarding, right? I get
Let's
to meet
go.
you. I get to meet like Monica. I get to meet some really great people that I'm associated with now. So as we go through our basic training, as we go through all of these different things that I'm like, what I even was cracking up at, I was laughing. And I don't disrespect the military, but when I started my first day of basic training, I was laughing my butt off. Like, what
Oh,
is
that's
this
great. That's
doing?
great. The things
Why
they were
are they
saying to
yelling
you?
at us? Right. Why are they
Yeah.
yelling? What's going on? Why is the alphabet different? Like, what is a Pfeiffer? Like, I don't know what all of this is. What is this? But then eventually I took it serious. I understood what it was for, got it.
Hell yeah.
Fast forward, my girl that I came in the military with, she left. so so she got out of the military. I stayed in. So I've been in for 24 years. I went from a private to sergeant, and then I switched over to officer. Then I became now a field grade officer as a major.
Wow.
Not an easy task again. However, I would say this. I would say the moment that I felt as if my FML changed
Yep, yep.
was when a couple of times joining the military was one, Afghanistan and Iraq was another. After
Mm.
that, right, and then coming home and in the transition of home and the constant battle that you go through. Um, that third FML was about 6 years ago.
Oh,
And so yeah. So I've had different moments, and I'm pretty sure other people probably had the same if they really look back at the whole entire story of their life, of different moments where they came from places that may not have been of hope. They came from places that a lot of people didn't think that they were going to make it, but they did.
mm.
So that was one FML, and then going into the military and then experiencing Iraq and Afghanistan, that was another FML moment. I was like, I went to Iraq and I was like, in my head, I could see myself kicking and screaming like, "No, I don't want to go to Iraq. I don't want to go to Iraq."
Yeah.
But I went over there with some really great people. We lost some people, but um, the connections that you get, I think, are just paramount. And so I'm very appreciative of that as well.
That's huge. So you mentioned actually something I've never heard before on this. I'm taking notes by the way too, so I can keep track of things as
Yeah.
well. So if you see me looking down and looking around, I'm taking notes, looking at comments. We will see comments
Yeah.
coming through, by the way. Uh,
Mhm.
quick shout out to Mama Corbett. That's my mother right there. Give a little wave. What's up, Mom?
Hey,
Thank you. Always love the
hey,
support.
hey, Mama Corbett.
Hell yeah, my mom's the best, dude.
Mhm.
So, um, you mentioned almost like it was chapters. Actually, you're breaking up the FML moments into chapters. It's not like one
Yeah.
big moment. And what's special about that, what I interpret that as, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, uh, you're good at compartmentalizing things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's
Mhm.
what you're doing when
Mhm.
you do that. I want to point this out to everybody who's watching
Yeah.
and listening right now. That's a very mentally tough thing, right? That is
It
actually
is.
that shows where you came from, where you grew up maybe in a little bit of a struggle, things like that. I'm not going to make any assumptions, but you were
Mhm.
alluding to that. But you didn't take that and then You didn't become a victim to those circumstances.
Right.
You
No.
learned how to adapt and adjust.
Right.
And that's
Absolutely.
really, really special. That's something I noticed when I first met you, even when we were talking briefly, right? For the
Yeah.
interviews, for becoming a leader for the all women's retreats and
Mhm.
everything, for the Sisters in Arms. I
Mhm.
really like that a lot. You're able to compartmentalize the different parts of your life,
Yeah.
meaning you're reviewing things. It's like, hey, I'm here
Mhm.
now. How did I get to this point? Right? What did I
Mhm.
like? What didn't I like? How can I learn from this and adapt and grow? Right? That's a
Yep.
really special trait.
Mhm.
And that's something I really want people to hear and know, that that is a very special thing. And they can
Yeah.
do it too,
Yeah.
right? So if you could,
Absolutely.
yeah, if you could for us, take
Mhm.
me through your thought process around compartmentalization, how you do it appropriately for yourself, and how you've been able to
Mhm.
almost, it seems like it's a natural thing for you, but if you can explain it, how do you do that?
Uh, I love to learn,
Mm,
and I think that helps. As I learn from the situation I observe, I take it in, and then I learn whatever I need to learn from that. Maybe it's a lesson that I need to learn, right? Doesn't mean that I'm perfect at it at that
mhm. Yeah,
lesson
yeah,
at that moment, but it means that I'm observing. I'm trying to figure out what's really going on.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
let's take one situation at a time. If I think about like growing up and where I grew up, and it was like, okay, well, so and so is running, there's sirens going. I probably don't want to live this life, right? Like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
maybe I need to figure out how can I get out of here. And because of that, I
Mhm.
immediately think, okay, that's that situation. How can I go to another situation? And I
Yes,
leave
sir.
that situation where it's at. And for me, that's how I compartmentalize. And I do that quite a bit. So I'm observing, learning from it, and then figuring out the next thing.
That is,
Mm. And it's tough. Emotionally, it's tough though, right?
it has to be,
Right?
by the way.
Mhm.
Life is inherently suffering, it's tough,
Mhm.
right? So,
Right.
but what you're doing when you say it's tough, you're not saying it's tough, woe is me. You're saying,
Mm.
whoa, it's tough. Imma be able to be tougher, right? So you're actually
Absolutely.
learning how to get through it and push through it. And that's actually
Right.
the major difference. So you're not becoming a victim of your circumstances. You're becoming a
Yeah.
victor, as Wade loves to say. Wade is one of the guys in Refit. He's a good buddy of mine too, and everything. But I love that. When
Mhm.
do you find, so this is actually also pretty critical. When you're doing that and looking back, what are you doing in those moments when you're kind of like evaluating? Now, I'm not saying you have a pre-scheduled thing and all that stuff, but like
Mhm.
when do you realize are the times that you're able to think about things and then you make those changes?
Um, so when am I able to kind of look at the things that are happening and make the change?
Yes.
So what really happens is it may be pain. It may be hurt.
I was hoping you'd say that. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I was hoping you'd say that. Go ahead,
Mhm.
keep going.
Yup, because if it's a discomfort, pain, it's I don't like it here. How do I figure it out? Let me learn why I feel this way. Why do I feel this
Mm.
way? I don't like it. I don't like it. Well, since you don't like it, what is the one thing? Yes, change is very difficult. But when I feel as if when I feel as if it's painful, I don't want to be here. It's hurting who I am, and it doesn't mean that I'm bulletproof because
Mm.
the bullet probably went in and I felt the pain.
Yep.
Then I decided to make a change. So it's not that I'm dodging things, is that I'm experiencing these things. And then I feel as if, oh God, I don't like it. I need to move. I need to change. What is it that I need to do? And I learn from it. And then I need to figure it out. I'm a big figured out type of person. Like, let's figure it out.
Yep.
How do I
Figure it
how
out.
do I not
That is,
stay here too long?
that's
Because I
right.
can't sit here too long.
That's that
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra way, I think it is, figure it out. It's,
Mm.
also something that we say here because we do a lot of retreats at, like, different ranches and stuff, bison ranches in particular. I
Mhm.
hope that you get to
I
go out
can't
to
wait for
one and
our
experience one. Yeah, that would be really
yes.
cool. But something that's really
We
interesting
have one
about,
coming up.
yeah, you guys do have one
Yeah.
coming up, but it's gonna be at a,
Yeah.
you're gonna be at Patriot Point in, Maryland. It's a very, very nice facility, but there's no bison. Um,
Ah.
yeah, yeah, there's no bison. There's a lot of ducks though. There's ducks and fishing and stuff like that.
Okay.
But and a huge kitchen, and like it's a beautiful facility. It's honestly amazing. Great beds and stuff. So the thing that we talk about a lot when we're at these bison ranches and we try to bring it home with us, so great learning, is bison are the only cattle animal that face the storm. Like if a snowstorm is coming in, they face it and they go through it, right? They get out of it
Mhm.
sooner. Whereas
Absolutely.
cows, they actually run away from it, right? And they
Mhm.
die. They're more likely to die in the storm because they're trying to
Yeah.
avoid it. It's the same exact
Mhm.
concept you're talking about. The bullet hits,
Yeah.
I feel it, I'm looking at it, I observe it, and I'm gonna do something about it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
instead of being like, whoop, that's not me, that's not for me, like you're like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, that was me. I
That
felt
was
that.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Absolutely.
like that a lot. So it's
Absolutely.
that bison or that bullet mentality. I like
Yeah. And honestly, you can take those type of skills in almost every situation, right?
everything.
For sure, and kind of learn from it. And then as you're going through the storm, and you're running through, right? You're actually facing it to run through it. You don't realize it, but the storm is actually shortened because it's coming and you're going at a different pace. Does that make sense? Like it actually moves through, which is very brilliant for these bisons to do these things. As the
Yes.
cow, either I'm trying to run in the same direction from it. And at that point, the storm is longer.
And engulf you.
You're right. Your short window of travel is now turned into 40 years and 40 nights, right? Because
That's
you're
exactly right.
actually, exactly. Hmm.
That 40 years, 40 nights, you're gonna be, or I'm
Hmm.
sorry, 40 days, 40 nights, you're gonna be stuck, right?
Yes.
Like you're how are you gonna get out of that? You're gonna spiral.
Hmm.
If
Right.
you stay in that same spot, you stay in that same mentality, you don't try to change anything, you're screwed.
Mm.
And that's really what it comes down to. And that's what I noticed with your
Yeah.
FML moments, how you know, broke them out like that. There was actually, we had a retreat, almost on every retreat, actually, we have this conversation with a few guys where they're talking about their stories, and it almost seems like they stay stuck in a certain time period, and they can't seem to turn the page and get to the next
Mhm.
chapter and allow
Okay.
themselves to do that. And then when we bring that up to them, we talk them through it. It's like, hey man, that pain you're feeling, that like you have to do, there's something you know you have to do
That's true.
and you're not doing it. What is that thing? Just say it out loud right now. And it's
Mhm.
amazing what happens when people say that thing out loud, how it drives action. I mean, action is
Mhm.
everything. I mean, it's the same thing in stoicism. It's action over planning always. Take action. You have to move. Planning is important. Don't get me wrong. Planning is important if you're treating it as an action, but if you're treating it as a paralysis, then you're
Mhm.
not going to move, right? So you have
Yeah. Yeah. And if you need help with, a lot of times I would say, even though I decided to like shift and kind of run into the storm to run past it, um, sometimes I got lost, right? And so I needed to call a friend. I
mhm,
needed someone to tell me where north was so
let's
I can
go.
run that way. Because you may not know. And as you're experiencing these things, and I had to find this was a very hard thing that I had to come to too, is younger, I just figured it out. But as I got older, I was like, oh, these are more complicated situations. These are
Mm,
more mental, emotional type of things, and I don't know how to deal with it. So
mm,
let me go talk to somebody. And it's hard to go talk to somebody because I was so prideful about it. Like, no, I got it. I can do it. It was like, no, I need some guidance. I need somebody to show me where true north is so I know where to go.
mm.
Otherwise, I'm just kind of dilly dallying, and I may lose that energy as the bison, runs past it. I may lose that energy, right? I may start walking, and it may get longer. So as I'm experiencing these things, that's another thing I had to learn too, was ask for help.
Regina,
Mhm.
what's special about that too? I'll tell you what just went through my mind when you said that. I think it'll lead to a really good conversation, a little bit deeper into this topic. It's a really good one that we're having here. You mentioned how things get more complicated, right?
Mhm.
So, what
Yeah.
happens if you're younger and
Mhm.
you don't do what you did? Learn how to get through that stuff, right? If you feel like you're going to be a victim. That's why I want to so badly, I want to get in front of like young people and talk to them about the concept of like accepting the pain, because it's like,
Mhm.
don't be that, don't become a victim
Don't
of your
run from it.
circumstances, you know, because you're
Yeah.
going life is going to get more challenging and more difficult, and like
Mhm.
children and jobs and or businesses that you want to start, things like that. You have to have people that are willing to support you, and that you, by the way, really important, that you trust and that you actually value their opinion. You have to find those people, and you have to be very selective about that too. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's also it's never easy, right? And Ray over here on Instagram, doesn't pop up on here, he said your life will never be as easy as it is today. And
Right.
that's pretty real, actually. And it
Absolutely.
it always gets difficult, always gets more difficult in different ways. And if you
Yeah.
don't set yourself up for an early success, or if you don't, not even early, but if you don't set yourself up at any point in your life to begin to accept pain and to begin to accept the challenges and surround yourself with the community of people that care about you, you are going to stay stuck in that storm, right? And and that goes back to your early years of
Mhm.
really learning that mantra of figure it out and wanting to change and taking on that pain early. So what have you run into in your later life when things got a little bit more difficult? Who are you looking for to be in your life, and why did you choose those type of people? So type of person, not necessarily like a person in particular, but I would love to hear some stories about that, some conversations you've had and the type of person that it was.
Say one more time. So it's the people that helped me get through.
Difficult times. Yeah, like
Absolutely.
what was
Absolutely.
one time that it was really difficult, and how did
Mhm.
you strategically choose the right person to speak to, and why did you choose that person?
Oh, I love that you said
Yeah.
choose who should minister to me as I'm going through that
Yes.
problem. So everyone should really just, in order to choose the right person to speak to you, one, they have to be qualified to talk to you about the things that they're going through. So I went to speak to somebody, and as I was speaking to them, no matter the institution was a place that's welcoming to military people,
Mhm.
um, that's what they said. And I get there, and the person that they picked to talk to me, we didn't relate. They didn't understand what I went through. Not that they had to be there, but they never experienced the things I was talking about.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if this person really is qualified to talk to me about this.
Mm.
Because what happened in that conversation, I was instantly more irritated. My
Mm.
gut was just telling me this person is not the person to
They
sit
don't
here
know,
and
they
listen
don't
to what
know.
I'm saying. They
Yep.
don't know, right? They want to help and they want to do all these other things, but they were instantly making me feel very uncomfortable. So I immediately had to realize that this person is not qualified to talk to me. Okay.
Unreal. Yep.
So you have to figure out what and have your own discernment. What are the qualifications in order to talk to you? Not necessarily about all of the credentials and all the different things, because a friend
Life
can talk to a
experience.
friend and right,
Yep.
right, and get them through the things that they need to get through. So the people for me, and when I think about my first FML moment was when I was going from living where I was living at to going to college. That change agent was my mom,
Mm.
was my mom, was my mom. And as a 16, 17, 18-year-old girl, that was not like the first person on my list that I wanted to listen to, because I was like, you don't know me and I'm going to do what I want to do. But what she did is she allowed me to still be me and figure out what I wanted to do, but said, hey, as you're trying to figure yourself out, I'm gonna guide you over here. But that was the person, because I knew that I wanted to be someone. I knew I wanted to do something and be an asset in the community. I knew all these things. I just didn't know how to get there.
I love
And so
that.
she was that change agent that actually put me there. And then sometimes
Mm.
in just thinking through it, as I think through her helping me, I think about other people I've helped. And sometimes they don't see that they're in trouble. They don't see that they're spiraling. They don't get it.
Yep.
They don't understand it. And I just guide them through, like, hey, let's do this. Maybe I just show up and sit there and just listen. Maybe, and then I'm the change agent for them. And so she was that for me. And all she did was really just guide me. She
Mm.
just said, hey, this is the way you should go. And she didn't do it in a matter of fact. It was more of, I'm going to drive you down to this college and we're going to do a tour. I had no say
Okay.
so, but that was a change agent, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's one. The other one was thinking through going to the military, and that was through DeAndrea. She was amazing, and but she didn't realize that she was my change agent at that moment.
Sure.
I needed something that was different from, because I didn't know that I needed to go to the army. Like, it wasn't one of those things I just, for me, that I woke up and just went to the army. I loved it and never wanted to leave. Like, I'm going through some moments now because I'm about to retire this year. But I say all of that to say she was my person that helped me figure out that the army was for me. So what she did for me is she introduced me to something that was, I don't know, it was just different. It was 100% different. So sometimes my mom, as a change agent, just guided me. DeAndrea just introduced me. And then I had to make the decision. I had to make the decision to join and sign my name on the list.
Interesting. So I would like to ask you a question about your definitions here. Uh, I love doing that. I love having people define words when they're using it because it gives us more insight into the way you think. So you said guide and then introduce, and
Yeah,
how both of those, are you saying both of those are change
they're
agents?
change agents for me. Yes. But I feel like
So
they're
give me the
different.
differences between the two, and which one.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
let's rock into that. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So like the phrase about you can guide a person to
Horse
you
the
can give
water.
them a fish. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you can
yeah,
use
yeah.
the water or you can use the fish. Either
Uh-huh.
one.
Yep,
Point
yep,
is
yep.
somebody was sending you or giving you something, right?
Yep.
Right? Or you learned how to do it. So what I did was, in my first situation with my mother as a change agent, what she did was she just took me. There was no learning, there was no decision,
Hmm.
there was no, she just guided me to it, right? Just here you go. I'm going to take you there, period. Introducing me, like, and allowed me to make my own decision was DeAndrea. It was like, here it is. Here's the army. You want it or you don't. You decide. My mom was like, no, and you're signing the paperwork, and here you are into school. Good job. Like,
Hell
and then
yeah.
don't fail.
Yep.
But the introduction was more of I had to make the decision. So now I was learning to fish instead of giving the fish.
Unreal. I
Mhm.
love that. I you're making me realize something that's actually really special about this, with this change agent methodology and mindset. It's really nice to think about it because I mentioned strategy before, and like, what were you strategically thinking? You just broke it down for us. You basically, when you look at a problem set in your life, you're basically at that point. And again, I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like
Yeah.
what you do in that moment of like, okay, I'm facing this, and this is my challenge right now. I need to
Mhm.
find a person that fits about three quarters of this or all of this, and then talk to them.
Absolutely. Yep, for the qualifications for sure. And
Fantastic.
as you get older, you already know, like, as our situations get more complicated, I'm actually intentionally now looking for a change agent. So when I went to that hospital, back to that scenario of looking for help and assistance, and getting the help that I needed at that time,
Mm,
um, that change agent, she wasn't the right one. And she wanted to be, but she wasn't qualified. I just didn't feel it. I didn't feel moved by her. Now, that's as an adult. Let's go back to the kid. Let's go back to the kid and the mom that was a change agent. Like,
mm,
when she took me to the school, it wasn't, my teachers were saying the same thing. Go to school, make sure you go to college, do this, do that. I'm like, yeah, whatever. You don't know me, right?
mhm, mhm,
It's a little bit different. My mom was qualified because she understood what I needed at that moment.
mm,
DeAndrea, when I was going to the military, I already had recruiters come to the school and tell us that here's an option. Do you want to do JRTC? Do you want to do ROTC? Do you want to just sign the paper and just come to boot camp? Like, they already came and talked to us. But the fact that they couldn't relate to me and what I needed was different. And so I say to everybody, always make sure that you have someone that's qualified. Use your discernment. Doesn't mean that they have to have credentials, right?
mhm,
Doesn't mean
mhm.
that they have to be licensed.
Right, right,
But if
right.
it's your friend, someone that knows you, that has your best interests at heart, if it's someone that, like FML, this whole For My Life movement is amazing. Is
Yes.
amazing. So you have somebody here, James, that's going to lead you through qualified. Doesn't mean that you have to have all the different
Certs and shit.
abbreviations
That's
and
right.
right and alphabet behind your name. It just means
Mhm,
that someone cares about you. To me, that's a qualified person, right?
mhm.
Use your discernment. Doesn't mean that people just use your discernment. Use your discernment.
I
Remember that.
how about this too, when you're choosing those
Mhm.
people, when I choose people, I need someone for me, this is me personally speaking, I need someone who can challenge my logic with actual
Oh, I love that.
logic. Like, I need to have a real conversation with someone. I need to
Mhm.
be challenged. And if a person can't track me and listen to me and hear me out with what I'm thinking through, that's one of the things I love about Lisa. She is so wildly intelligent that I can talk to her about pretty much any subject and we can track,
Mhm.
right? We can have those really deep conversations, you know what I mean? And when we
Yeah.
have arguments back and forth, which is what I want. I want to
Okay.
argue something out because I want
Mhm.
to iron
Conflict is
sharpens
change.
iron. You know what I'm saying? Like we
Absolutely.
need to figure that out. And
Mhm.
and it really works. And
Mhm.
but some people I feel like they need a softer approach, you know, and like
Mhm.
how what do you think is for you? Like what have you found to be the way that you have people hear you or you hear them?
Ah. Ooh, good one. I would say a mixture of both. I've had people like softly tell me to do stuff, and I'm like, you don't understand, go away. And then there's others that will be yelling at me and do this, do that. And I'm like, okay, I don't take you seriously. So
Mhm.
it's really a mixture of both for me.
Yeah.
Um, I would say it's a mixture of both because honestly, okay, so this happened.
Give it
Um,
to me.
and I'm like I was years ago. I mean, I'm married now, but years ago, there was a guy who was just like Regina. I mean, silly stuff like uh, that's not funny. I would make like silly jokes, and he wouldn't laugh, and I'd be like, "Dang, like what's wrong with you?" Or he would say things like,
Mm.
"Why did you do that?" And it would make me think, and I would be like, Or he would say something silly like, "Why your hands are ashy? Why your feet ashy?" Like,
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
silly stuff. But the thing is he was teaching me, one, how to take better care of myself, how
Mm.
to have discernment of the room, and then he wasn't afraid to tell me where I was wrong, and I needed that.
Hell
I didn't
yeah.
need somebody to be like a yes, yes, yes. I needed somebody to be like, well, why are you doing that? Like, what is that about? So I thought that was really good for me.
Yeah.
Somebody that kind of challenge, but not to the point where they were like uh,
Demeaning.
demeaning,
Mhm.
harassing. Like, I don't need that. I don't need you to be that. I can figure it out. Like, I'm not a person that can need to be micromanaged, but I
Right.
do need someone that like challenges me, gives me the question of why did you think this? Why did you do that? I'm a business owner, so one of the things I love to do is I like to challenge myself. Regina, what is the customer going to think about this? What do they need? What is it? And I took that from that relationship. Like, I didn't know that I needed that at that time when
Mm.
that guy was doing that, but he was definitely like, what does this mean? Why are you doing that? And I was like, why am I doing that?
Yep, yep.
So
I
yeah,
actually there's something about that too where, like, if I hear somebody talking real negative about themselves, I don't and they make a joke or
mhm.
whatever, I'm just like, "I don't think that's funny, dude, like, you shouldn't be talking about yourself like that."
I love
That
that.
like, that shit's not funny. Like, you like,
I
don't
love
beat
that.
your ass down. Like, why is that happening? Right?
I
Like
love that.
yeah, because there's
'Cause
something
not everybody is brave enough to do that.
yeah,
People will tiptoe around it, and that little do they know that person needed them to say something at that time. I mean, you could stop so many as a leader, right? You're a leader too. As a leader, I can't sit here and stand by as someone being bullied or chastised for like all of these different things, and you're just
yes.
standing by, not doing anything.
And then when you say
See.
it, even being a leader, when you say something to somebody, they get
Mhm.
offended, they get upset, they get upset with you or whatever. It's like, well, it had to be done. It had to be. I had to
That
say something. It had to happen.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the
yeah.
backlash. Maybe the person will turn around later. Maybe they'll think about it later or something, right? Like
Mhm.
there's a, especially if you're coming at it from a place of like, hey, I'm just checking in. Like I just wanted to see what's going on, and like this is just a part of it. And it's a
Mhm.
difficult conversation to have. A lot of people can't have it. And I have developed that, I think, from even my own household, like
Mhm.
growing up, like my dad in particular would always like, if I would talk real negative about myself, my dad would
Mhm.
like, stop doing that. Stop.
Yeah,
Like, that's
yeah,
not okay. Like, you shouldn't be
yeah.
talking down on yourself.
Mhm.
And that's something I really held with me and held close to me for a very long time. Even when things like, when I would talk negative about myself, I actually catch myself and I'm like, stop doing that. Why am I doing, like, it's a good thing. Like, you got to have more positive words and things in my
Mhm.
life, right? Like that.
Yep,
We
absolutely.
eat words. I say it on this all the time. We eat words. What are you feeding
Mm.
yourself, right? Like, we
Mhm.
are the literate creatures. We're the literate animals in the animal kingdom. So we eat words as well as food, right? So how are we treating our minds and our brains? How are we feeding them?
Absolutely.
And like that,
Absolutely.
that feeds your soul. So
Absolutely.
it's definitely something that I think when it comes to people who do that, I think people who do that are misinterpreted a lot, especially. There is a balance though. There are people out there who do prey on it and they're assholes about it, and like they're doing it to be nasty and like, get under you. But there's some people who are like, "Yo, why are you saying that?" Like, and are really curious and they want you to talk to them about it. So that's it's a rare type. And if you had somebody that did that for you and you're doing that for yourself now, you learn something from that, and that's a good thing. And that's huge. I love that. So
Absolutely,
how do
absolutely.
you take some of the learnings that you've had in your life and apply it
Mhm,
to leadership in the military now,
mhm,
for your family, for your business? Give us some examples
mhm.
of that too, and I would love to hear one of your most challenging moments in your life as well, and like give us a really good story around that.
Mm. Yes, 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 yes. So the people around me, I've had to challenge them too,
Mhm.
right? So I have 4 boys, and
Oh,
you talk about eating what they talk and watch
mm,
and all the things, and I'm like, we're not watching just somebody play video games on YouTube. Okay, this is not what we're gonna do. And the moment that they come off of YouTube and they come talk to me about something, and I question them about something silly, like, my 6-year-old, like, what time is it? And he's like, I don't know. I can't read the time. I was like, see, you should be watching that YouTube with that guy on there playing video games because it's making you dumb.
let's get
And
you
so,
let's get you riding out and learning time, boys.
he he knows time.
I know.
So the other day he was like, I asked him the same thing after that, and he was like, it's 9:56, mom. I was like, okay, good, because that little show you watch is getting on my nerves. So I challenge the people around me. I
Yeah.
help them be better. If I want to be excellent, I have to make sure that the people around me are also excellent. Why?
Yeah.
Because I love them. Doesn't mean that they have to be perfect. By no means, nobody's
By
perfect,
no
right?
means.
No means. And that's just going to build anxiety anyway. So what I do is I just make sure that, what are you doing? What are you feeding yourself? YouTube or not? I don't care if you want to get on YouTube, watch something science. So what I do, that's what I do with my family. I challenge them to always try to be better. Doesn't mean they have to be perfect. The other thing is I talk to them as leaders. Trust but verify, right? Make
Hey,
sure
that's right.
make sure
Everything.
you said your iPad was in your book bag. Did you verify?
Mhm.
Because we want to make sure. So that's some of the things that I do there, with them and family. For a
Mm,
business, very similar, except for now I'm an advocate as well. And sometimes in my line of business, people don't want to hear that they need financial help, right? Because I'm a financial advisor. So
mhm, mhm.
that they don't need help, or they're embarrassed by it. And I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm here to basically be a doctor for you to help fix whatever this is. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you up front that you probably don't need to spend XYZ, or you probably need to do this investment, or you probably need to do this. So, and I just lead them. And I help them understand and educate them so they can start making their own decisions. Because as a leader, I can't make all your decisions, right? So again, that's how I kind of show up as a leader in my business. Um, and then I help other like business owners, so other financial advisors and other investment advisors, and just make sure that they know, like, hey, this is what I'm doing to make sure I'm performing and being my best self in business. You probably need to do the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's business. Getting to relationships, right? My friends, my husband, just making sure that, I show up as a friend as well, but then also as a leader. Like, shoot, no, we need to go work out. We
Yep.
don't need to be eating another McDonald's meal,
Yep.
little things like that. And I'm not perfect because I do like McDonald's fries every now and again, but I'd rather have something a little bit healthy every now and again too. So we try to help each other in that way, to be leaders in that way. To answer your question about a situation that was a little tough
Yes.
recently, making a decision to retire. And it's
Oh,
so
damn.
crazy because I'm a reservist now. And so you would think that as a reservist, I already do my business full time. Why is it so hard for me to leave the military? And it went into a lot of anxiety. Um, like, what I'm gonna do now? Like, where am I gonna go? Um, and then to leave the military, you know, there's some things that I probably need to go to the VA hospital for. There's some things I probably need to see the vet center about. Um, but being my own advocate to say, go get the help you need and stop procrastinating on it. So
Mm,
those are the things that I'm kind of facing. And being in this group has helped me. Monica and some of the other girls are absolutely amazing. We're all super, killers in our own industries. And
damn right.
so I say that to say I owe it to my military sisters to ask them for help, because I think it would be disrespectful if I didn't.
Yeah.
To say, hey, I'm struggling with the fact that I have to leave the military. Like, all the paper, it can be overwhelming.
Mm,
All the paperwork, all the back and
bureaucracy is
forth,
overwhelming.
all the doctor appointments, like all the things. It's just like, ugh, I don't want to deal with it, but it's something I have to face. And I have to say goodbye to the military. I was even thinking, like, anxiety wise, this is so silly. Like, why? What am I going to put on my title? Like, do I put like retired major? Like, it's so, like, in my head, and I laugh because it's so uncomfortable for me to be in that space. Like, what do I do? How do I do it? So if anybody listening would like love to help me retire, that would be amazing. So yes.
I feel like retirement is something that, especially from the military, is something that the purpose behind it too. Even though you're a reservist now, like you
Mhm.
still have purpose. Like you're still very
Mhm.
much making a difference in people's lives, and you're still very much making a difference in the United States as well, right? And like that's a
Mhm.
huge change you're going to be facing. So Steve said, leaving the military hurts, especially when you don't want to leave. Medically retired kind of sucks. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely another, because it's almost against your will, but like you're leaving it, and it is
Mhm.
a big change, and it's a part of you now. It became who you,
Mhm.
it's part of your identity. But the good news is it will forever be a part of your story, right? And it's just another one of those moments where you're going to have another change, another, for my life moment,
Yeah.
where you're going to be able to change the page, right? And something
Yeah.
I would love for you to talk about what drove
Okay.
you to helping out with Sisters in Arms and our all women
Mm.
retreats. And is this actually a part of it? Is it, it's still a way for you to give back to the military community? It's almost like a perfect platform for you to do that and kind of help you a little
Mhm.
bit with your transition. Do you think it will?
I think it will. I think being able to sit down and have intimate conversations about some of the things that I experienced in the military, some of the things I'm experiencing as I exit the military, and then also transitioning, because Sisters in Arms for me is needed because my family did not do military, right? DeAndrea did, her family did, my family did not.
Mm-hmm.
So as I transitioned home, my husband, he was prior service, but he didn't do or experience deployments and all the things.
Mm,
I did, and it was hard. It was hard. It was hard to come back and do it twice. And I know so many more people do it more than that, but I had experienced, there were some dark moments where I didn't have anybody.
mm,
And yet I have friends that will call and check every now and again. I had my husband who was there. I had my kids that were there, but I still felt alone. Um, and so the only time I felt connected to anyone were other women in the military. There's so many things as a woman, and I know you as a guy, you probably experienced some things, but as a woman, I feel as if there's some things that are not met in the military, that are met with adversity in the military, and I I just felt alone. How do you feel alone and you have someone sleeping next to you, or
mm.
have kids coming to you every day, or talking, there's people calling you and checking on you, like, and you still feel lonely? Like, that's
Yeah.
a really weird feeling.
I
um
I bet it's even exacerbated being a leader in the being an officer in the military.
uh, being a leader, so being a leader, I feel is even more lonely, because
Yeah.
when you are frustrated and you're tired and things are going
Mhm, very
wrong in
true.
this part of your life and that part of your life, who are you talking to?
That's
Like,
right.
who? Because if I go talk to the soldiers, now I'm a weak leader. If I go talk to, whoever that may do my profile, they may say, well, she's unfit. Like, all these different judgments and all these different things. And that's how I felt about it.
You're not
So I
wrong.
felt very alone,
Yeah.
alone, alone, alone.
It's
So
the
I
same
feel
way
like
in
sisters.
civilian life too.
Yeah. And see, and that's the one reason why me still, and I love the military. I don't know what it is about the military, but either way, I felt as if I could meet with, it was camaraderie, it was culture.
Mm,
You could sit down, at night in your bivouacs and just have conversations, right? And you just got to know a lot of really good people,
yes.
that you did not grow up with, but you got to learn so much about them. Like, I love the military in that regard. So I think doing the Sisters in Arms allows for that to continue,
Yes.
even though I'm leaving the military, and I don't feel alone, because they've been there before. They've all done it before. Um, yeah, and I love that what Joseph said. Either you love or you hate it.
That's right.
It's like, man, it's like I love it at this point, but then I hate it at this point. And all that to say is, it's a weird makeup. And if you've
Yeah.
never been in the military, you wouldn't even understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's something I've noticed, some mistakes that I've made along the way with refit is when you do talk to people, about the issues or problems that are happening, and you're the leader and you're talking to the people you're supposed to be leading, it does weaken your position and it creates more issues and problems. And it's something that I've learned that in recent years specifically, I've been very adamant about, you know what? I can't talk to everybody about everything.
yeah,
There's no fucking way because it's done nothing but cause more issues and harm
mhm,
relationships and such. It's a very difficult thing actually. So and in the military, well, I was sitting at a table the other day with it was on Tuesday. I was with a two-star general and some lieutenant colonels and others who are all in the Air Force. And it was interesting hearing their stories and from their perspectives of leadership in the military, and how they came to be and where they are. And some of the things that they struggle with, they really do care a lot about
yeah,
their airmen and women, and particularly, again, this is Air Force. And they really do care a lot and they really do want to help and they want to do the best they can. And it's
right,
difficult because there's certain boundaries that they really can't cross. And a lot of enlisted they'll never understand that. They'll never
yeah,
get that, and that's really
yeah,
difficult. But what I also have noticed is officers that come from the enlisted ranks that get into the officer ranks are ones that really
yeah,
can cross the bridge and they know how to do it
yeah,
appropriately.
right,
And that's a gift that you probably had when you went from enlisted to officer. You knew how to cross that boundary appropriately and how to approach the enlisted ranks, and that's something that I think is is very special, and I'm sure that helps you out a lot. Now, there before we
It does, yeah.
continue, I do want to answer a question for Steve here. He's
Yeah.
actually part of Refit as well. He's curious what Sisters in Arms is. So, Sisters in Arms is we're doing an all women's retreat where Steve, I talked to you about it multiple times throughout the years. I really was trying to find leaders who could lead an all female retreat. And we came across Regina, Monica, Candace, and Shannon, and the four of them are going to become leaders for the all women's retreats. And we have another woman actually that might want to jump in and help out too. And I really want to introduce her to you guys. She's from Washington State. But anyway, they're going to be leading all female retreats, and we're going to be able to host those now, so we can really take care of our sisters in arms. And it's a very exciting proposition that we have moving here. Now, with you and with your experience, Regina, bringing it to Sisters in Arms, what do you think is something you will bring? And I know this, but I would love for you to talk about it here. What are some things that you want to bring, or that you think you will be able to bring to your fellow peers?
You know what? About what we talked about earlier. I think FML to For My Life
Mm-hmm.
is a positive shift, right? You turn something that was negative to something
Mm-hmm.
positive. And so I feel as if that's the one thing that I think that I will be able to bring the most. And I say that because I am I mean, we talked about it, compartmentalized, using that not to bury it, but to use that experience for better,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think one of the gifts that I have is being grateful, not necessarily
Like your
ignoring
growth.
the negatives, right? But
Mm-hmm.
just grateful for where I'm at, what I'm doing, making it through, and then now that I'm grateful, I understand, I observed, and now I learned. Now I can be better. Now I can figure it out. Now I can
There it is.
move to the next thing. And so for me, it is what I will bring is definitely all of who I am. So they
Mm-hmm.
have another sister that they can talk to so they don't feel alone. But then to help them see the glass half full.
You just gave you actually answered a question. You answered it before, but you answered it even deeper just now. I'm going to take a jump back to earlier in our conversation here. You said learning helps with compartmentalizing. And I asked you, what's your process? Where do you start? You just answered it just now. You start with gratefulness. You
Yeah,
start with,
yeah, I
I
do.
need to take a step back and I need to view what I'm grateful for. That means you're in a moment of anxiety. You're in a moment of you're down. You need to figure out
Yeah.
what have I done so far that's good. And you start out with the positive. That's fantastic. I do that for myself too when I'm really going through it. I'm like, why am I'm like over, I'm like spiraling out. Like, what am I grateful for? What have I done? Where am I at? And number one thing that I'm so grateful for that I set up in my life, and I start out with it all the time. So, um, we have very good news with it. We're bringing new life into the world, and in September, and I'm
That's
like, man,
amazing.
it is
Congratulations.
amazing. And I'm so grateful for it because it's like I have a life that I've been able to set up where I can be present most of the time. And I love that. And I want to
Yeah.
continue that, right? Like that's something I want to
Yeah.
continue to support and continue to drive forward. And that's something I'm able to do it for my little co-host here right now, my dog. Like I'm able to be with him a lot. Like he's able to be with me like everywhere because that's a life I wanted to set up.
What kind of dog is
He's
this?
a husky. He's a good
Oh,
boy.
a
He's sleeping
husky.
right now. Yeah.
OMG. I
Yeah,
love huskies.
he's so handsome. But
Mhm.
very excited that I have that kind of life that I've been able to set up, right? So, and I want to continue again, I want to continue to support that. The grateful side of your learning and your stepping back, I try to tell people all the time, dude, just start with gratefulness. It sounds bullshitty and it sounds all crazy or whatever, like, but it's not. It's not. Using positive words,
Right.
positive affirmations, it helps.
It
It's
does.
so critical to moving your life forward. It's so critical. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So with those positive words, it's good to say it to yourself, right?
Mhm.
I also found that it's good to write it down and get a journal and just write it down. So I do it in two ways. I write down my affirmations in the morning a couple of times, and then at night a couple of times. But then I added in something else, and it's called like the Grateful Success Journal.
Mhm.
And so what I do in there is I actually put in there the successes that I had the day before. So as I'm sitting down at night, I pull out my journal and I say affirmation for tonight, got it, right? But then I go through and I say for today, these are the successful things that I did
Let's
today,
go.
right?
Yeah.
Because I used to go to bed with a whole lot of anxiety. I got to do
Mm,
this, I got to do that, I got to do this. Oh my God, and tomorrow I got to do this, and I'm up all night, right?
yeah.
So what I found was, is I'm like, you know what? But there's some things I did accomplish in a day, and I'm happy about it. Here's my list of successful things I accomplished today. Mm-hmm.
Mm. That's
Mm-hmm.
it's funny what happens to me. It happened to me last night. Um, I actually couldn't sleep until 3 a.m. last night. I didn't fall asleep till 3 a.m., woke up at 7, right? Like I had like no sleep. But the difference is I couldn't sleep because I was excited. There's a lot of things happening. I was like super excited for all the things I can do. And like there's a lot of positive things happening right now, especially in Refit with having, I can't even tell you how amazing it is to have you guys joining in to run these retreats for women. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is something that's
Yeah.
very close to me. Dan as well. Dan and I spoke about it a lot. Like we
Okay.
need to get women leaders in here because we have to take ourselves to that next level. There's women who need help and we want to make sure that our sisters in arms are getting taken care of. And that's you coming in helped make that happen. And we brought on great board members recently. I mean, studs. We have to
Mm-hmm.
bring on one
Oh wow.
more board member.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I don't know if you have the time, but I might throw your name in there to be a potential board
Okay.
member, honestly, because I
Oh
see your whole background and everything too with
yeah.
business and running it and know how to be a
Mhm.
leader. I would love to throw your name in the ring.
Yeah,
I,
absolutely.
as we were talking through this, I was like, I got to ask her. So there was somebody else I asked too. His name
Okay.
is Eric, and I hope he gets back to me. And I hope
Okay.
he joins in. But I would definitely open up a slot too, and I think the board would love to have somebody like you on with your acumen and everything as well. So, but
I love
nonetheless, we can talk about that offline. Um, I'm very, I'm very excited that we got to the point in this conversation where we're talking about the point of gratefulness because
Mhm.
it is a relaxing. You get to breathe it out. You get to see you aren't,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? You aren't
Absolutely.
useless. You're doing things. You're doing your best.
Mhm.
Like as long as you can say that, that's really,
Mhm.
really critical.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And identifying where you are succeeding, because a lot of times when we're anxious for the next thing, right? But we have to remember all the things that have actually went your way, the
Mm-hmm.
things that you've actually accomplished. And I love when you said that you're worthy. Oh my
Mm,
goodness.
so important. I
And
try to
that,
tell people that
yeah.
all the time, man. Even when guys, I had one guy, a bunch of them, but one guy in particular, I remember he was recently on a retreat with us, very stern face, really like a hardened combat vet, like he
Mhm.
earned. And I said to him, I was like, bro, you earned that. You have a So Dan read a book by Dr. Edward Tick that talked about the third eye, that Odin gave up an
Okay.
eye and he was able to see the
Okay.
world for what it is.
Mhm.
That's actually a metaphor. That's a metaphor for how evil humanity and things can actually be around you. That's a
Mhm.
gift. That is not a bad thing. It's a gift. And if you use
Mhm.
it properly, you can help other people and guide other people through. So
I love
the thing that he said to me was, I wish I could get back to who I was. I was like, the fuck? How old were you when you joined? He's like 17. I was like, you want to be a 17-year-old again, bro? He's like, no,
that.
absolutely
I'm
not. I was like,
17.
right. I was like, bro, you earned that sternness. You earned that face. You earned all of it. And that's a good
Yeah.
thing. You get to guide people. If you actually care about people and you want to continue to help guide them, you earned those experiences in that way of being. That's something you can stand on and be proud of, right? Now, and
Absolutely.
some people, Wade, I'm gonna bring up Wade. He's one of the most stoic, calm dudes on
Mhm.
earth. And he earned that calm and he earned that through violence. And it's a
Mhm.
gift that he has been given. And it's something that he really looks at it that way now too, right?
Mhm.
He gets to project love now onto people and like because he knew what true hate and true evil is, and he was able to
Mhm.
experience it and fight against it, and now he gets to come back and be the love and be the light for others. And
Mhm.
and that helped him through his, drug abuse and alcoholism and things like that. And he's now like a corporate job and helping out with refit
Wow.
and like taking shit, has a family, loves his wife, loves
Yes.
his kids, all that shit, right? Like great,
Absolutely.
great guy who came from darkness, and like you earned
Mhm.
that. And it's a different way to look at it. It's a way to just accept and be grateful for what you have, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? He may get through to a lot of people because of that, right? There's other people that have that type of sternness. They don't know what to do with it,
Mhm.
right? They're not accepted as much, but because he's wearing it proudly, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. I think sometimes we get into this thing where and I hated this. Someone had said to me, like, be authentic. And I was like, I am being authentic. I don't know.
Alright.
This is me, right? This is me. If whatever I'm doing is because there's probably a reason why I'm doing it.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I agree. I agree. People
Hell
will
yeah.
gravitate to you when you're you.
That's right. Just be authentic. Just be real.
Yeah.
Don't do anything other than that. And it's actually something else. You can tell when a person, just by their posture, like a person that can stand up straighter, their chest to the world, right? Like I make sure I try to stand
Mhm.
as straight as I can. I do have rounded shoulders in general, but
Okay.
um, but I do stand as straight as I possibly can because it's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm ready
Right.
for the world to hit me. I'm not afraid for the pain that might come my way. I want to face it and I want to go through the challenge and learn. You can see that
Absolutely.
with a lot of people. Like stand up straight and face the world, man. It'll
Yeah.
how your
Hold your
faith
head
is,
up.
how your
Yeah.
body is how you will be.
Absolutely.
Real shit.
Absolutely. I love
So
this, James. Thank you so
yeah,
much for having
this
me
was
on.
great. Yeah, we reached our hour point here. We had a great conversation, got to know you a little bit
Thank you
more.
so
And
much.
anytime you want to jump back on, I would love to have you back on and tell more
Oh,
stories
man.
and more learnings and things. I think that would be really
Mhm.
fantastic. If you would be down for that, I would be down for that.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right,
And I
cool.
won't be, like, all in the suit. Maybe I can put something else on.
Nah, you're good. It's all good. Just be you, man. You're good. You're doing your work right now. You're at your job, so you're doing your thing. Also, learning how to sell is a great skill,
Learning how
and
to sell.
you must have that because being a financial advisor, you know how to
Yes.
talk to people. That's some real shit right there. That's
I
serious.
do, I do, I do, I do. I mean, I love it. I don't not the sales part of it, but for sure letting people know what they need to know.
You know what you said earlier that I really liked? You said, "Look, I'm just a doctor looking to see how your
I
finances are, and I wanna fix it." Like, that's it.
right.
I love that.
Give me the down and dirty so I can help you. I can't
That's
help
right.
you if I don't know. I mean,
Yep. No judgment. Let me
yeah,
help out. Yeah.
absolutely.
That's really cool.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining in today. Thank you, Regina, for coming in here and talking to us. And again, I would love to talk to you more about potentially even joining Refit in an even bigger way, making an
Yeah,
even bigger impact. And, it's something that's really special. And Refit, I think, can make a really big difference if we begin to get more motivated people who are ready to work. So, and not
absolutely.
afraid of it either. So, definitely appreciate you. And thank you, everybody else, for jumping in and joining. See everyone.
Thank you for having me. And
Absolutely.
thank you for what you do.
Hey, it's my honor. See everybody.
It's needed.